very late at night. Hello, everybody. Could you let me know if you can hear me okay? So it's been a while since I've done one of these, so I want to make sure that you can actually hear me. So do let me know. Can you hear me loud and clear? Hi, Susie Warwick. How are you? Nice to see you, Catherine Webster. Hello, Melinda. How are you over there? Laura, thank you for saying that you can hear me okay. Hello there, Kat. The audio is good. Thank you very much. Well, golly, how are you all? Life has been rather, well, I keep on telling people that I am juggling at circus big top levels, and it really does feel like I have been doing that. It's just been a summer so far of everything. The garden is one thing, but when you can't get out here because it's A, too hot, B, work is so busy, and I'm so grateful for that, and that you've thrown yourself into it. Suddenly, I'm doing all the jobs that Jules used to do. The washing, my goodness me, what an absolute nightmare that tyranny is. Housework is absolutely the last thing I want to do when I have free time. And then, being kind of forced to do it. So no choice, is it? So the summer of everything, says Kat, is a very good description. It really has been. And the garden, my goodness me, we don't have a hose pipe ban here at the moment, but 9 million homes do in the south of the UK. And by some kind of fluke, our supplying water board have not banned Petersfield, but we are on a red alert. But I am not using the hose unless I absolutely, definitely have to. Now, yesterday was one of those days. I've neglected the front garden, absolutely, because I just do not have the time to look after front and back when you're trying to be really sort of judicial about how much water you're using. So the front garden, I went out there on Friday night just to sort of assess the absolute carnage of dryness that there is out there. And goodness me, I just thought this garden is literally going to die. All of the plants had gone absolutely grey. Alchemilla, everything really was just prostrate lying on the ground. And I should imagine that your gardens are absolutely the same. So, yeah. So yesterday morning, it's always a good idea to soak rather than drip. So I've been was out there at 6 a.m. yesterday morning, and I did give it a good douse, I'm afraid. I really, really, really did soak it. It's perked up a little bit, but yeah, I'm rather worried, as you know, with the Substack piece that I wrote, just exactly what that means for a lot of our gardens in the UK. Is it the end of the great English garden of all of our imaginations and the gardens that we grew up with? Let me know your thoughts. I mean, in other countries, and a lot of you are in hotter climates, this is just the normal for you, isn't it, actually, that you've got this phenomenal heat. But when plants that I have been specifying for years start to kind of start to fail, blur, in front of your eyes, it is desperately worrying, isn't it? Even the plants that are supposed to be reliable, they have put on so much growth in this sun, I think, that they've all started to flop. And I think that is also because, even though they are drought tolerant, that's the word, isn't it? The tolerant part of the drought tolerance. And I think when their cells are just completely collapsing under the weight of, or the weightlessness of no water, they're not turgid, as we were taught when I was at Hawke College. What's supporting them, particularly if they're tall? So some things are doing okay, but even things like Crocosmia is just kind of sort of falling into heaps. It's not standing upright. It's literally just kind of collapsing. Sedum in my front garden, and I don't have much of it, don't love sedum, but it's on the kind of divide between myself and my neighbour. That is just perished. It is just dead as a dodo. It might mean that it will come back very quickly after we do, if we were forecast rain this week, but that has just gone. it's just not on the weather forecast anymore. So I don't know if that means it will bounce up again. I tell you what is doing quite well is the bulbs. So, and I suppose that's because they have all of their sort of DNA in their corms, isn't it? And they don't need that much water to just catapult themselves out of the ground. So I'm looking at the moment, and I will take some photos today. Got a day all to the garden to myself. So they're not out quite yet, but the gladioli are doing just fabulously. And there's so many spears coming up from that sort of sword-like foliage from the ground. But things like euphorbia is just kind of collapsing on its own. Fennel is flowering like a bilio, but all the leaves are very, very brown. The phlomis, looking at that now, it's sort of looking like so yellow and going into autumn way before its time, isn't it? I will turn the camera around in a minute, but I'd love to read some of your comments. So let's have a look. Susie's saying, gosh, that's definitely worse than here in Oxfordshire, and we are quite sheltered. And that is the surprise for me. Our gardens here, where I live in Petersfield, just outside in Sheet, we're on a slope. So, and my house is kind of halfway down the slope where my watch strap is. So you'd think that the water runs down the slope. Also, we're split level. So we have the area in the bottom of the garden, which is called the sink. We've always called it the sink garden. So that is surrounded by trees. So, and the trees, of course, are casting that lovely shade. Yeah, they're taking up water, but they're also making sure that, everything is kind of protected under those canopies, us included. I've been looking for shade, and I'm sure you have too, as much as we possibly can. So, but we are bone dry, absolutely bone dry. So, Jill, you're saying the things that aren't collapsing is the wisteria, which is growing like traffic. And the mirabilis, you told me about that. The mirabilis is just thriving. I won't mention the carnage of the rests. Joe Colwell is saying, our trees are struggling without water too. And yeah, triffids, got it. So I'm surprised the wisteria is doing so well. I don't know why. It's just not a plant that I thought would do brilliantly well in a drought. Perhaps it's mature and its roots are way down. But Joe, I agree with you about the trees. I have sorbus. They're Sorbusaria lutescens. So, they're a native really. Silvery leaves. They are drooping. I will turn my camera around in a minute, but all of the berries are just kind of dangling, looking really quite sorry for themselves. It's very, very concerning. So let's have a look what anybody else say. Isn't sedum drought tolerant in theory? Absolutely, Melinda. And yet we are being surprised by this. And Jules is saying it does seem to have become an annual occurrence, doesn't it? Absolutely, it does. So, and thank you, Jill, for your kind words. I wonder if everybody's had a look at it yet. Thought-provoking, the piece that I wrote about, is this the end of the English garden as we know it? It is concerning because, I've visited Knepp, for example, quite recently. And I admire what they're trying to do there. And I admire that they're educating and they are experimenting with a whole range of actually not native plants. And I think that's really important. And I'm going to be really honest about it. Personally, I think if you're importing a whole load of plants, you're importing a whole load of rubble, admittedly from the site that they are on, and then putting sand on top of what I believe and understand is clay soil. Surely that is just kind of a problem waiting to happen. What happens when the plant roots get down to that soil? Is there just a pan created? So I'm not completely, unless you're already on sand, completely convinced of this sand gardening craze that's going on. So, but yeah, frankly, I don't want that sort of garden. So, and maybe that's terribly selfish of me, and maybe that's terribly unenlightened of me, and maybe that is something that I am just going to have to get over myself about, because I like this stuff. And actually, this plant, the Rudbeckias, which I grew from seed last year, cappuccino. Goodness me, why can I not remember the other names of any of the other plants? So, but these are all grown from seed, and these have been amazing. They've just come back and they've flowered for ages, actually. So, so these have been fabulous. But I do love my kind of bold and beautiful, kind of voluptuous and bosomy plants, if you like. So, um, so does that mean that we just can't grow them so much anymore? I don't know. So, right, let's have a look. Taken notice of your advice to focus on the soil, we'll be mulching like mad. Well, actually, that's something that I've been doing this morning. So, because I've been kind of looking at the garden with really quite sort of honest eyes and thinking about and what is doing well and what may have to change over the coming years. And if you read this week's newsletter, you know that I've kind of given it 3 years. And so I'm going to be kind of observing what's doing amazingly well beyond the research that I, as a garden designer, have been reading and looking at and taking as gospel for the last few years. But actually, and I know, and I've been saying for a long time, that all of us are experimenting. But as we know, no two gardens are ever the same, are they? No two gardeners are ever the same, but no soil conditions are ever the same. No kind of locale is ever the same, really. So I think we all have to be our own little botanists, don't we, as we move through this kind of changing landscape. So, so I am really, really being accounting of the garden and what it's doing, I think, over the next 3 years. And just, we might have to slowly, slowly start changing our mindsets and our plants, possibly. But yes, what I've been doing this morning, and shall I tell you why? I did hint, actually, over on the gram about some visitors that I've got coming a week on Tuesday, actually, which is very worrying for a whole other reason, actually, which I'll also tell you about. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to tell you this, but I'm just going to tell you. So, but you all know that I'm very good friends with a certain Gardener's World presenter. This might be top secret, but we're all friends here, aren't we? And this is our behind the garden gate sort of area. So, but Joe Swift, who's a very good friend of mine, knew Jules very well as well. So, and yeah, he's bringing the Gardener's World team here a week on Tuesday to talk about how much this garden has kept me going over the time. It's been 9 months now since Jules died. 9 months. I cannot believe it. Miss him constantly, all the time. So, and Joe has had a fair bit of kind of bereavement himself personally, which is his own story. So, and I'm not going to talk about that, but I will talk about myself really. And I just think that Jules would really want me to talk about how this garden, in all of its kind of buzzy, blurry, kind of, you know, messy, difficult, sort of drought punished garden has helped me every single day. So it's so nice that Joe is doing it because he is one of my besties, and I know that he'll be really kind of sort of, I can be quite honest with him and open and just tell him exactly how it's been so brilliant to, even despite the heat, get up every morning, come out here before the day begins and just think, I've got something to do. I've got jobs to do. I can't just, sit on the sofa, sort of drinking my lady fuel, so rosé or fizzy wine, which I haven't done actually. So at all, it's not a good idea at all to be in the house drinking on my own. So I just don't. Hardly drinking at all, actually. So, but I am out here assessing thinking, and this morning I've been going around the garden just kind of doing a little bit of judicious weeding. It's good to keep the soil covered and emptying all the pots that I've got knocking about the place. So of their sort of compost that's been languishing in those pots and just topping up everywhere where I can see a gap on the soil. So, yeah. So, and I'm just going to be really honest about it. So, and see what happens. So I've been doing that. I've been propping. I think I bought a dozen new stakes over my several dozen stakes that I've already got here, there, and everywhere. So I've done that too, and I have bought 12 new plants just to drop into holes that, the cosmos isn't growing as well as it might be, or things have collapsed. So I'm just going to start planting those out after we've had some time together. But the thing about all of this, and actually being here with you now, is also making me feel just really kind of, I don't know how it's making me feel, but it's nice. It's nice because the garden is absolutely definitely where I feel Jules the most. And these lives were kind of Jules's thing for me all the way through COVID. And it's just so nice to be able to sit and chat because I am on my own an awful lot these days. Gilbert is here, but he's 17. So he's out doing his own thing a lot of the time. And I am on my own quite a lot. So just to be able to chew the fat and just kind of chat about the garden and plants in the way that I would have done, because Jules would be here. He'd be saying, there's too much sun where you're sitting right now. Have you got your sun cream on? Which I have. So you can see it shining on me. So, and generally kind of just being my wingman all the time. So that's what's nice about being able to chat to you right now. And it's something that I didn't expect to happen. As so often with this My Real Garden community, either here or over on the gram, it's just a bloody joy, quite honestly. So we're never on our own, are we? And I'm not lonely. I want to point that out. I'm not lonely because I've always got Jules to natter on too. But I am alone a lot, so which is strange. So but I just chat to him anyway. Anywho, there I go, blathering on. Apologies, but rather nice to be able to do it. So, okay. Rita's saying that roses seem to have loved this hot weather. They do, but the problem is that they just seem to kind of just vanish, don't they, the blooms, really, really quickly on pretty much everything, roses or otherwise, actually. So, and Jill, thank you. You're saying there is something about the early morning in the garden which is gone by 9 a.m. The garden doesn't stand still. There is always something new. Exactly that, Jill, exactly that. And I love the fact that out here on my own with the birds and the bees before the sun comes and kills all the colours, because the colours are just so much better, aren't they, when they're kind of in semi-shady, well, not shade, but cloudy days and early in the morning. And that's the mornings when I come out and just talk to Jules and go, look, that's out, this is doing that, this is doing the other thing. Yes, okay, so Cosmos, it really is starting to flower up here a bit. But my garden, I would say, is probably 3 weeks behind, and it's not looking brilliant. It really isn't. So, but it's got to be good enough. So I'll just swing you around from where I am, actually. So let's just see if I can kind of turn you around on the tripod a little bit, because I'm afraid that I'll lose you. But it's very, very green. So you always cheered when we caught a glimpse of Jewel. Look at the lawn, how brown it is. So, and I've got what we called the caravan deck chairs, always too. Gilbert sometimes comes down and sits with me. But look, the veg splodge, total disaster, to be honest. Peas, absolutely mullered. So lots of things hardly kind of come up at all. And you'll see, and I'm going to swing all the way around, that the trees, all the sorbuses, are just really, and perhaps this is the worst one here. Can you see it? So it's just kind of collapsing. under its own kind of glumness. I'm rather pleased with these. This is a Nicotiana Crimson Bedder. So, and I grew that from seeds. And look at the gladioli. And there are tons of them coming up here, swords a go-go. So I'm just spinning you round on here. Lots of mess on the table. I think it's quite nice to see. Me clearing things away. A bit of twine. His and hers chairs always. And the dahlias are just starting to get going now. So, which is a blessed relief, because I think those are actually what's going to be good for Gardener's World, I think. So is the dahlias. So hooray, hooray, hooray. So the borders have a decent level of oomph, actually. Do you think? I'm going to take some photos this afternoon, I've decided, because the weather's quite nice for it. So, because it's not too sunny. But they're not as full at all as they usually would be. They really aren't. And things aren't as tall. They're not as kind of glam as they were. And as I say, it's several weeks behind. So I think what we'd expect to see in July, looking at my own photos, we're going to see in August. But there is a problem in all of this. Because Gardener's World are coming a week on Tuesday. And I am going to Latitude, the festival. There's 11 of us going. I keep saying 12 because Jaws is coming too. So there's usually 6 of us. That would be me and Jaws, Andy Sturgeon, Thea, his wife, and our good friend Serena and Andrew Morris. Well, this year, in honour of Jaws, I think, that's what Tom keeps on saying, we've got Tom Hoblin, another garden designer, and his wife Mary joining the ranks. And we've got Caroline and Simon Burville of Gaze Burville, great friends of ours. And also we've got Sophie and David Harbour joining us, so of David Harbour Sculptures. So that is, let's say 12, because I hate saying 11. There's 12 of us going on Thursday morning, and we're not coming back until Monday afternoon, the day before Gardener's World arrive, in a drought. It's a bit of a concern, but I'm sure it will all be fine. So my mum and dad are coming to Boy Butler Gilbert. My dad's not a gardener, but I'm not going to complain. He is going to be getting along very well with my 2 best mates that you can see down there, Bill and Ben. So, and I'm going to give him a lesson on Wednesday night about what to water and what not to water, because actually the pots aren't as dry as you might think. So, new best friend as well. He hasn't got a name, actually. He doesn't need one, does he? It's a moisture meter, and I've got 2 of them. So I am going to give this to my dad, and he will be checking everything just to make sure it's okay. That's lovely cat, Charlotte Tomlin, but she works. So I couldn't at all kind of let her, take responsibility for that. It would be dreadful. So I'm going to do all I can today, hence the mulching. So, and I'm sure that my dad will be perfectly capable to water everything. So Morris, that's what he's called. Thank you, Nicola. Morris. So, and I'm also going to get Gilbert on it because he has broken up from college, and actually he could also help with it, couldn't he? So today I'm going to make sure that everything is the best that I can get it to, and then we're just going to take our chances. Life is too short not to go and top yourself back up again with dear friends. Dance, eat good food. We don't go in tents. We all hire camper vans, which is a bit spoiled of us, I suppose. But it means you get a good night's rest, a good breakfast, and a shower. And you've got a loo for when you need that little sort of visit in the middle of the night. So we'll see. So we'll see. Let's have a look at your comments. Do you think I'll get away with it? So, Michelle, thank you. It's looking lovely. I think it's great to see you on live once again, OP. Reminds me of your lockdown lives. Love it. I agree. It'd be great to see it no matter what. Less stage, the better. We love the real. And that's what I think, actually. So I think it's perfectly reasonable to say that I've been away and this is what I've come back to. And this is my real garden. Because, that's the whole point of this. All of it is just to show you the reality and talk very truthfully and honestly, about what my garden looks like, being, I suppose, well, I'll just say this, a top 25 house and garden designer with a full-time job. And I think that's really important because I think there's a lot of things on Instagram and in magazines that can make us all feel that our gardens are not good enough or we're not doing well enough. And you know what? Our gardens are all good enough. They're perfectly imperfect. They do so much for us, don't they? And they keep us going. And oh my God, this is my favourite place to be still, even now that I'm, doing this on my own. In fact, it's almost more important now I'm doing it all on my own because it's ours. So it's absolutely ours. So, Charlotte, you're volunteering. You are not coming round here to do that. It's so kind of you. So really kind of you to say, so, Barbara Deacon Hodges, you make me laugh so much. Has everybody read what Barbara's just said? She's always hilarious on the comments. I have put some plastic lemons on a tree just for colour and brought props with pretend flowers around them. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I'll just get some fake flowers. Maybe Joe won't notice. So is the thing. So what are we all doing in our gardens this afternoon? I am going to dig a few holes and pop in my 12 plants that I've got. I'm going to prop up some more plants. I'm not going to cut the hedge because I just don't think it would be good for it in this weather. I'm going to get Bill and Ben into action. And then I think I might just relax, actually. And enjoy the garden. I might climb into the hammock. So I might have a swing about in that. And when the sun goes behind a cloud again, I think I'll take some photos of the garden and I'm going to put them onto notes, actually. And I know that lots of other people on Substack do that. They do. I know Joe does show us your plots and things. But I think it'd be really nice, wouldn't it, if maybe someone else could start this whilst I'm pottering along, but just to go out and take a photo or as many photos as you think you fancy doing and just shove them on the My Real Gardens notes as a thread, just showing what our gardens look like at the moment. I will put one, I promise, of the front garden on there, which is looking absolutely dreadful. So I'm going to check and see what is happening with the water. And then I might, and I feel really guilty about doing this, but I might give it a good douse with the hose again on Thursday morning before I go to Latitude. And that means that it will have had 2 good soaks in possibly 8 weeks. God, crazy. And we'll just keep thinking about what we can do, what we can change, what's going to happen, and take no action and nobody panic because it will all be fine in the end, won't it? Otherwise, it's not the end. Okay? So good. So what do you think? So do you think that I should water the garden? So just give it one last dousing before I go to Latitude. I feel so guilty about doing that, but I am hand watering everywhere else. But I just think, my goodness me, it's just all going to die. I'm not so bothered about it for Gardens World, but I just kind of think that I don't want all that love that we sort of lavished on the garden out the front. And it was our space, really. So to just kaput. So, let's have a look. Let me know. Keep calm and carry on, says Nicola Henson. Yes, water it, says Charlotte. It's so much work to lose. God, I'm going to have to get up at dawn. I can't have any of the neighbours seeing me water it. I'd feel so guilty. So, but Thank you. I'll just let it limp along, I think, and then on Thursday morning, get up at dawn. So that's interesting. You're saying, M.L. Bowden, water the pots and let the garden take its chances. It may well be tougher than you think. Oh, interesting. That's interesting. So for sure, let's see. Yes, water it. My fig tree is absolutely mental, absolutely massive, supposed to be a mini standard. I love that. Well, nobody's wanted to see my little apple tree that knocked down in a storm last night. Melinda, we absolutely want to see your apple tree that got knocked down in a storm last night. If you can bear to actually go out there and photograph it, if you can bear to do it, because that's the whole thing, isn't it? It is absolutely what's happening in real life. Let's not try and soup it up. Let's just show people the reality. Russell, you're going to be visiting an open garden instead because there's nothing happening in your garden. Well, take a picture of that. I would love that. You're planting out Nicotianas, Lara, because I couldn't stand the heat recently. They are skulking in pots. Ah, what plants are you putting in? What have I got? I've got a few, obviously I've got salvias. They're just going to add that pop of colour. So moving on into the next few coming weeks. So quite a lot of salvias really is what I've got. And a few buddleia, alternifolia, because they are just going to flower all summer. And I'm quite interested to see how they do in pots. So great. Okay, the realness will be inspiration to others, I promise. Thank you, Melinda. That's really, really nice. Good. Okay. I'm going to go, let you get on with it. Let Nicola dash out to her NGS garden. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Honestly, please put your pictures of your gardens onto notes. Somebody start a thread and then we can all have a little look at each other's gardens and the reality of everybody else's real garden, because that's kind of the point, isn't it? Right. Ciao, ciao, ciao. Love you. And I am going to get on with, plugging a few gaps, shall we say. Thank you for hanging out with me. It means the world. It's really good to see you. And I will be back soon. Might not have a Substack on Friday, but I might put some photos of Latitude, because it's sort of horticultural, isn't it? Up as a paid post with a very, very little intro. So, and just so you can see some photos of what's going on with the gardening gurus at Latitude. Really lovely to see you, gorgeous to hang out, and I will see you very soon. Lovely. I will post some photos. Cool, cool, cool of Latitude and of my garden, and everyone else must too. Love you lots. I won't forget to water my heart and soul too. That's so beautiful. Thank you. And Kat, good idea. A postcard instead of a newsletter. Doing it. All right. Lots of love. See you soon. Enjoy your gardens this afternoon. All love. Bye bye.